January 15th, 2009, 3:28 in the afternoon. A pilot's voice crackles over the radio, calm, measured, almost impossibly steady. "We're gonna be in the Hudson." The air traffic controller who hears those words will later say he believed he was listening to a man announce his own death. 155 souls are aboard US Airways Flight 1549. Both engines are dead. They are 3 minutes from impact. This is the story of the most successful ditching in aviation history, and the 208 seconds that made it possible. LaGuardia Airport, New York. A cold Thursday afternoon, 19 degrees Fahrenheit. Clear skies, good visibility. On the tarmac, an Airbus A320, registration November 106, Uniform Sierra, is preparing for a routine flight to Charlotte, North Carolina. On board are 150 passengers, 2 pilots, 3 flight attendants, 155 people heading south for business, family, or just to escape the cold. The call sign is Cactus 1549, Cactus being US Airways radio handle. At the controls is First Officer Jeffrey Skiles, flying the plane for takeoff. In the left seat, monitoring, is the captain, a 57-year-old former Air Force fighter pilot with nearly 20,000 hours of flight time. His name is Sullenberger. Most people will soon know him as Sully. Sullenberger wasn't just any airline pilot. He was a man who had spent his entire life preparing for a moment he hoped would never come. Born in Denison, Texas in 1951, he earned his pilot's license at 16. He graduated from the United States Air Force Academy in 1973, top of his class in airmanship. He flew F-4 Phantom jets in the Air Force, became a flight leader and training officer. After leaving the military, he joined the airlines in 1980, eventually becoming a captain at US Airways. But here's what made Sullenberger different. He wasn't content to simply fly. He became an accident investigator, a safety consultant. He developed crew resource management training programs. He studied disasters, not out of morbidity, but because he believed that understanding failure was the only path to preventing it. He would later say, "For 42 years, I've been making small, regular deposits in this bank of experience, education, and training. And on January 15th, the balance was sufficient so that I could make a very large withdrawal." At 3:24 p.m., Cactus 1549 lifts off from LaGuardia Runway 4, heading northeast over the Bronx. First Officer Skiles is at the controls. The climb is normal, routine. At 700 feet, they report airborne. As they pass through 2,000 feet, Sullenberger glances out the window and remarks casually, "What a view of the Hudson today." 90 seconds after takeoff, at 2,818 feet, they see them, a flock of Canada geese in V formation, at least a dozen birds, each weighing between 6 and 14 pounds. The aircraft's engines were certified to withstand bird strikes from birds weighing 2.5 pounds. These geese are 6 times heavier. There is no time to react. Both engines ingest multiple birds simultaneously. 2 massive thuds. A burning smell fills the cockpit, and then silence. Both engines are dead. In the cockpit, everything happens in seconds. Sullenberger takes the controls from Skiles. "My aircraft." He flips on engine ignition, and then he makes the decision that will save 155 lives before anyone even knows they need saving. He starts the APU, the Auxiliary Power Unit, a small turbine in the tail that provides backup electrical power. Without it, the A320's fly-by-wire computers would drop into degraded mode, losing the automatic stall protection that prevents the plane from falling out of the sky. With the APU running, the computers stay in normal law. The plane can still protect itself. Meanwhile, Skiles begins racing through the dual engine failure restart checklist, a 3-page procedure designed for use at 30,000 feet, where pilots have minutes to work through it. They are at 3,000 feet. They have seconds. Skiles works through it faster than investigators will later be able to replicate in simulation. At 3:27, Sullenberger keys the radio. Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is Cactus 1539. Hit birds. We've lost thrust on both engines. We're turning back towards LaGuardia. Air traffic controller Patrick Harten responds instantly. He tells LaGuardia Tower to stop all departures. He clears runway 13 for an emergency return, but Sullenberger has already done the math in his head. They're too far away. They're descending too fast. He keys the radio again. One word. Unable. Harten tries Teterboro, a smaller airport across the Hudson in New Jersey. Sullenberger briefly considers it. Then he sees the river below them and the ferry boats crossing it, and he makes his decision. We can't do it. We're going to be in the Hudson. Sullenberger reaches for the PA system. He speaks 6 words, the only announcement he will make. There is no time for anything else. This is the captain. Brace for impact. In the cabin, the flight attendants, Donna Dent, Sheila Dale, and Doreen Welsh, with a combined 90 years of experience, begin shouting brace commands. Passengers grab their ankles. Some pray. Some text their families. A mother holds her baby tighter. The aircraft descends past the George Washington Bridge, clearing it by less than 900 feet. The Manhattan skyline fills the windows on the left. The New Jersey shore is on the right, and directly ahead, the gray, ice-cold water of the Hudson River rushes toward them at 125 knots. At 3:30 p.m. and 43 seconds, the belly of the Airbus A320 touches the Hudson River. One impact, no bounce. A gradual deceleration, like a boat hitting a wave. The forces exceed the aircraft's certified ditching limits. The rear fuselage cracks open. Water begins pouring into the back of the cabin, but the plane holds together. The wings don't shear off. The fuselage doesn't cartwheel. 155 people are alive. The total flight time from takeoff to water, 5 minutes and 8 seconds. The time from bird strike to impact, 208 seconds, 3 minutes and 28 seconds. In that time, Sullenberger assessed the emergency, rejected 2 airports, chose the river, started the APU, maintained flight control, and executed an unpowered water landing in an aircraft designed to fly, not float. There is no checklist for what he just did. No airline had ever written one. The evacuation begins immediately. 4 overwing window exits are thrown open. The forward slide rafts deploy. Passengers climb onto the wings and into rafts, standing knee-deep in 41-degree water. In the back of the plane, flight attendant Doreen Welsh is in trouble. The impact shattered a metal bar through the cabin floor into her leg. She's bleeding badly. Water is pouring in through a ruptured hull and an opened rear door. It rises to her waist, then her chest, then her neck. Despite her injuries, Welsh fights her way forward, screaming for passengers to move toward the overwing exits. She refuses to stop. On the Hudson, the first NY Waterway ferry arrives within 3 minutes. Captain Vince Lombardi at the helm. Then more ferries, Coast Guard boats, NYPD, FDNY, 140 firefighters, Circle Line tour boats. Within 24 minutes, every single person is off the aircraft. Sullenberger is the last to leave. He walks the length of the empty cabin twice, checking every row, every seat, before stepping off into a raft. In the months that followed, the NTSB investigated everything, and the question that dominated the inquiry was this: could Sullenberger have made it back to an airport? Flight simulators at Airbus's training center in Toulouse, France, told one story. Pilots who knew exactly what was coming, who turned back instantly the moment the bird strike occurred, were able to land safely at LaGuardia. 7 out of 13 attempts succeeded. At Teterboro, 1 out of 2. But there was a critical flaw in those simulations. They assumed the pilot would react instantly, with 0 time to recognize what had happened, assess the situation, or make a decision. When the NTSB added a 35-second delay to account for real human decision-making, The simulations crashed every single time. The board ruled that Sullenberger's decision was correct. The Hudson River was not the last resort. It was the only option that gave everyone aboard a chance to survive. All 155 people survived. 100 suffered injuries, mostly hypothermia, cuts and bruises. 5 were seriously hurt, including Doreen Welsh. Within days, the crew was at the presidential inauguration. Within weeks, Sullenberger had the keys to New York City. He threw out the first pitch at a Giants game wearing jersey number 155. Time magazine named him the second most influential person in the world. The NTSB issued 34 safety recommendations, including tougher engine bird strike testing, new low-altitude emergency checklists, and expanded wildlife management near airports. In the months that followed, over 1,200 Canada geese were removed from New York City parks. The aircraft itself, N-106 US, was pulled from the river and today sits in the Sullenberger Aviation Museum in Charlotte, North Carolina. Both engines are displayed beside it. Sullenberger retired from US Airways in March 2010. He became an international lecturer on safety and crisis leadership. He served as U.S. ambassador to the International Civil Aviation Organization. In 2026, he was inducted into the National Aviation Hall of Fame. First Officer Jeffrey Skiles continued flying, rising to captain on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner at American Airlines before retiring in November 2024 on his 65th birthday. Patrick Harten, the air traffic controller, still works at New York TRACON. Some of the passengers text him before they fly through LaGuardia. They want him working their flight. The survivors gather every January. They call themselves the 1549 family. On that frozen afternoon in 2009, a man spent 42 years of quiet preparation and spent it all in 208 seconds. It was enough.